Godinez, host of We Need to Talk with Chris Godinez, which is hidden by my hair, and Jess Manny. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and Jess's alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn person on the face of this planet, or any other therapist, for that matter. Boom. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, and then Psychology Today will pop up. Click on that, and it will have all of the therapists in your area. So, hi.
Hi.
So today we are talking about Vetdrenaline. We have a whole bunch of questions on PTSD and what exactly Vetdrenaline is and how it can help and all of this sort of good stuff. Hi, guys. So I wanted to talk about, hey, Chris, I wanted to talk about a question that I got. No, that's not it. There it is. Okay, so does this actually help their nervous systems recover? Or does this just give them a dose of fear and excitement that they got addicted to through intermittent reinforcement during their deployment and then feel bored when they return to civilian life? Which quite honestly sounds like how targets get addicted to the emotional roller coaster of being in an abusive relationship with an abuser. Intermittent reinforcement is a powerful method of psychological abuse, and I responded and said it's also a powerful method of healing PTSD from combat. So, Jess, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can talk about Vetdrenaline and tell them what it is.
I think there's a two-part answer to that.
Yeah, there is.
Because our tagline is more than just a race. So we can talk about the actual race, which is kind of the culminating event for the veterans, but they do go through like a 90-day program through us. So let's cover the racing first, because like everybody, that's what they
that's the question. So, yeah. So what are you doing? I don't understand.
So I mean, every combat veteran, and if there's anybody out there, or you know one, or you live with one, or you are one, you understand the fact that PTSD can mean a million different things. Most combat veterans, like myself, it's not that we struggle from the traumatic events of war, it's actually we crave them.
Right.
So our brains spend so much time in that fight or flight method that's what we look forward to every day.
Right.
So even if you have a negative or a positive response to that, when you come back to civilian lifestyle and you're sitting in your house trying to watch TV or everything's quiet, you can't sit still because you're craving those events that happen to you every day.
Right.
So so from a traumatic aspect of how it helps your recovery. So I mean,
hold on, keep explaining. I'm gonna go take Scotty outside. Sorry, guys. Dog.
Scotty's a dog. That's barking. So so with the aspect of the recovery of it is the adrenaline rush is kind of a therapeutic dump of adrenaline rush that dumps the adrenaline through the racing. Now, how that affects the aspects of how it's related to combat? Well, combat is you had heightened adrenaline with a traumatic experience. So if you crave the adrenaline, which most combat veterans do, well, then there's a traumatic aspect of the negativity of it because you were in a traumatic environment when the adrenaline was heightened. Well, we use racing because everybody's excited about it. There is no negative aspects. So when they're probably going through the race, they have the triggers of the adrenaline or the adrenaline rush, and their brain starts searching for that negative thing that traumatic thing they could grab onto, and there's nothing there.
There's no negative.
So it interrupts that brainwave.
That brainwave. So I don't know if you guys saw when I did the race, because this guy talked me into it. So I got into the car, and I don't know if you guys have read, shameless plug, I'm sorry, I'm going to do some shameless plug. So first book, What's Wrong with Your Dad, was about me growing up with a father that had borderline personality disorder with very much narcissistic expression. And he played chicken with us in the car. So when I did the race, I was terrified because, here I am, I'm, control freak, right? Because in the car especially. And I had to get into a car, be strapped in, have a helmet on, have a total stranger driving the car, and then what did they do? They didn't really play chicken, but they did kind of, they drifted and he actually got hit, right?
Slide sideways at 80 miles an hour and sometimes.
Yeah, and then get bumped and then spin, and I was baby Jesus. Yeah, so so talk about triggering. So for me, what I thought was interesting is that because of the fear of having been in the car with my dad and thinking, holy shit, I'm going to die because this motherfucker is, playing chicken with an oncoming car. So having what? It's true.
Just F-bombs everywhere.
Have we met?
I know.
Do you know me?
Yes,
have we met?
Yes.
So anyway, so that fear, and so getting into this and then having this guy that I don't know drive the car. Honest to God, I wish I was the one driving. That was my first thought. But so, and then we actually got tapped and we actually spun out, So it was kind of like every single worst fear that I could possibly have being completely out of control, total adrenaline rush, some strange guy driving the damn car. You know what I'm saying? But then what was interesting to me, and this is how it can be healing, not only for veterans, I want you guys to think about this. What happened to me is I got out of the car and immediately my brain went, oh, I'm in love with the driver. Holy fuck. It was total trauma bonding. And that clicked it home to me so quickly what we go through when we are with an abuser and we get trauma bonded. So even if you are not suffering from classic PTSD, if you have been the target of abuse, this can be a very enlightening event to put yourself through, because although I will never do it again, it was really a good learning experience. And it really drove home the point of trauma bonding for me. And it also allowed me to put trust into a total stranger, a total strange man that I would never normally do. So it was awesome. So hi.
Yeah. So, and that's like, so I'll tell a story about one of the vets that went through our program, and then I'll talk more about what the program is and leading up to the event. So one of the vets that was with us a few years ago, one time I called just to check up with him, and he lives in the Midwest, but I said, how often do you watch your video from the race? And we usually supply them with a giant poster too that shows them in the car or whatever. And I said, so how often do you watch your video or look at your poster? And the poster is a giant poster we print for them. And he goes, what do you mean? I'm like, your poster or like the race, like how often do you like revisit that? Because I was just curious, right? Because he was one of our early vets, and he goes, what do you mean? And I kept plugging him, and I kind of seen what he was doing. And then I said, how often do you look at that stuff? And he goes, every day.
Yeah.
He goes, every day I either mentally relive that stuff or look at my poster and relive it. And he says, and it's such a good place for me to go, because then he talked more about what the whole program is. So the whole program is they go through a self-development program. Obviously, we know I've been on the show before about fitness. So they go through my fitness training program. They do meditation. They work with counselors if they need it.
I do volunteer work. So I volunteer for the vets that come through and are going to do this program, because they need somebody to talk to, because the average Joe doesn't get it. My dad was a Marine, and even though he was a fucking asshole, I kind of get the military thing because I was raised by a Marine. So they need people to talk to. And the VA, let me tell you something, guys, the VA is failing our vets. They really are. On average, once an hour, a veteran is committing suicide because of depression, because of PTSD, because of having nobody to talk to. So we need programs like this. And I'm going to post on my website, We Need to Talk, where you can go to donate, because it costs how much per vet to do this?
For the 90-day program and the race at the end, you're talking between $5,000 to $10,000 for the vet. Because insurance and all those things, and we have a lot of programs that the vets go through. So and I've said on the news before, if you've seen some in my news stories, that we focus on what the vet needs right now.
Right.
We just don't throw them a bunch of stuff at you. Oh, this is going to help fix you. We need to get them moving now, no matter where they're at. So we have some vets that experienced stuff 20 years ago in combat, and they're still living
in 20 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. Or we got some of them that it's fresh and new. Right. So we're trying to get at them to be able to make sure that they don't push that away and hide that for so long. So, so our program is kind of based off a lot of volunteers and a lot of other companies that sponsor us, that we put the vets through the program, and we kind of get the vet the space to fall, or hold the space for them, to let them start moving up that hill. Right. And then the biggest thing, to know that they're not doing it alone. So Exactly. So the question was about panic attacks. So I've talked about panic attacks before, but this is common also with combat veterans. So when you have flashbacks, it fools the amygdala. So basically what Vetdrenaline is all about is fooling the amygdala, because the amygdala is stupid, okay? It does not understand the difference between a real threat, a thought about a real threat, daydreaming about a threat, an emotional threat, a thought about an emotional threat, or something that's happened in the past. So when we have a panic attack, what has happened is the threat has come in, the thought, it's just a thought, comes in, hits the amygdala freaks out and goes, ah!
and tells the hippocampus and hypothalamus, oh my God, we need cortisol right the fuck now. So then the brain releases cortisol, which is our stress hormone. So we start tensing up. It also causes us to hang on to fat because it's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So our body's going, oh my God, we're in danger. We're in danger. We need to hold on to every single calorie we have. So if we've got a high level of cortisol in our bodies, that's not good. It's not good for our whole system, and it causes us to hang on to fat. It causes all sorts of artery issues. It causes eats muscle away. Ugh. Yeah, it does all sorts of bad things. So we tense up, right? Because we're getting ready to fight something, run away, freeze like a bunny rabbit, or give in to whatever the abuser or the threat is, right? So now we're tense. Now we have no oxygen CO2 exchange. This is what's happening in a panic attack. There's no oxygen CO2 exchange. That tells the other primal part of the brain down here on the brainstem, holy shit, we're going to die. There's no oxygen CO2. Oh my God. Release adrenaline. So then the adrenal gland sits on top of the kidney back here. So it releases literally all of the adrenaline at once. So now you're shaking like a leaf, not taking really good breaths, racing thoughts, racing thoughts, racing thoughts, racing thoughts. And this is generally where people do one of two things. They either go into the classic panic attack, which is, I'm going to have a heart attack and I can't breathe, that one, or they go into the Incredible Hulk rage attack. Strength, because it's all about protecting. So the best thing to do when you are in the middle of a panic attack, or even if you recognize that you are going into a panic attack, that's the best thing, is if you can figure out, how do you know when you're first going into it? So sometimes for me, depending on what the threat is, I don't recognize it until I'm already, and then I recognize, oh, fuck, I'm in a panic, fuck this shit. And then I'll throw my chest open and start breathing. So you throw your chest open, you take the deepest breath you possibly can, you hold it for a few seconds, and then you let it out. At the same time, I'm safe, I'm okay, everything's fine, nothing is gonna hurt me. There is no saber-toothed tiger coming down the mountain to eat me. I'm safe, I'm okay, and you just keep repeating it. It's gonna take about 5 minutes for the adrenaline to flood out of the system, so you are gonna be a little shaky. So you just breathe, and you self-soothe. That is the best thing I can offer.
And you know, a lot of vets that have PTSD, that exact thing happens to them. So you can call it PTSD, but anybody with PTSD has an anxiety disorder, which they have panic attacks. And we just try to be able to get them to, for one, know that it's okay. It's completely okay. That
totally normal.
Yeah, it's like
totally normal.
I'm weird and I'm different than everybody else.
And it's not a weakness. So I want to make this very, very clear. A lot of my vets are like, oh, I'm weak. Oh, I'm, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Stop shoulding all over yourself. You're having a panic attack. It is a normal physiological, not psychological, physiological response to danger.
Yeah.
And it's all because the amygdala is stupid, with 3 O's, stupid. It cannot tell the difference. So anybody is going to have that kind of response when a threat comes in. Some people are more predisposed to it than others. Some people can go through great trauma and they're fine. Other people go through great trauma and they get PTSD. It does not mean they're weak. It just means their physiological makeup is different. So,
and I think the key is, because I struggled with PTSD since 2009.
Right.
And I would say the key is to find modalities to be able to interrupt those things that are happening and pull yourself out of it. So a lot of our vets, they go to the yoga, which they do sound healing. They do meditation with some of the volunteers in our program and stuff. So it's sometimes meditating, or we could go as extreme as the fitness is when I get them moving. So you have all different types of energy in the body. So it's connected to your spiritual wellness, your physical, and your mental. So you have to we like pull all 3 of those into the program, the spiritual, mental, and physical. So physical, we get you moving, we get your fitness going. Spiritual should be part of that relaxation, being able to know how to pull yourself out of a panic attack when you're having that and control your breathing.
Huge.
Any modality from that is figuring out that it's okay, it's happening. But at the same time of committing to something, knowing, okay, it's not my fault that I've been through these experiences in my life, but think about it for a second. It is your responsibility. It's your responsibility to make sure that this doesn't identify you or own you. We talked, the last time I was on here, we talked about transformation and identity. We talk more about fitness from that, but the identity aspect is, am I a disabled veteran that is classified with PTSD? Absolutely. But I don't let that identify me. That is not who I am. When they say disabled is just a word. We empower our veterans in our program to let them know disabled is just a word, and it's empowerment to know that you're capable to do whatever you want to do.
Right. And here's the thing, if you look up in the DSM-5, it's basically what stuff are for, is for the clinician to know what interventions to use. It is not necessarily for you to go, I am this. Okay. It's kind of like, how to explain? You have PTSD. You are not PTSD. That isn't who you are. Does it inform some of your behaviors? Yeah, you betcha. But is it really who you are? No, because who you are is an amazing human being who loves and who plays and who goes and exercises and has spirituality and yada, 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 yada. The PTSD is something you have. It is not something who you are. Just like depression, it is something you have.
Or cold.
Or cold. Or whatever. It's not, you are not the cold.
Yeah.
Unless you really want to be weird about it.
Or ugly shoes or whatever.
Ugly shoes.
It's not you. Like if you're wearing ugly shoes, you're not ugly.
You're not ugly because the shoes, yeah. So that is something I want to make very clear. I mean, so, you have, thank you. So I want to make that clear. So if you are interested in finding out what post-traumatic stress disorder, clinically speaking, just go look it up on the websites or, on the web, just type in PTSD criteria and it will pop up. And oftentimes what is in the criteria are things that do affect relationships. So this is why the divorce rate is ginormous for combat veterans, because they've got these series of behaviors, maladaptive behaviors that they have learned to cope with the stress, the anxiety, the whatever is coming in, which include irritability, flashbacks, dissociation, nightmares, inability to sleep, fatigue. Well, yeah, because you're not sleeping. Yeah.
One thing I've learned a long time ago about PTSD, which really affects relationships, is, because it could be stress or whatever, but like when you're in a fight or flight mode, your body takes all of the extra blood away from parts that you don't really need to live, and it shoves it into the muscles so the muscles can fight or flight, whatever, like you were talking about. So a lot of people with PTSD have really chronic digestive issues.
Yes.
Because it pulls all the blood out of the digestive system, pushes into muscles, because your body can kind of like work a little bit without the blood in the digestive system.
Right.
And, sexual issues, because your reproductive system, it pulls all the blood out of your reproductive system and shoves it all in the muscles, so you're in that fight or flight mode. So I think the biggest thing about is if somebody says you have PTSD, you have to understand what that's about. You have to self-educate, and your spouse or your significant other, whatever, they have to self-educate.
Yes, and I want to talk about that. So another reason why vets oftentimes get divorced is because the spouses do not know how to cope with when their spouse is in a dissociated state, and they do the absolute wrong thing. So like punching them or whatever is not the thing to do, because you're going to end up flat on the ground. So you need to understand and work with your spouse to learn how to pull them out gently from the dissociated state, because they're in a flashback. And I don't think people necessarily understand flashbacks. So let me talk a little bit about flashbacks. When I say flashback, I mean it is happening like right here, right now in their heads. So they're gone, like gone. And it is no different than somebody who has been in an abusive relationship when confronted with the abuser, whether right there in front of them or whether it's just the idea of the abuser. They get thrown into a flashback. They are way in their heads. It is happening as if it were happening right here, right now. So that is a dissociative state. So that's when spouses need to learn how to gently bring their spouse back to the present time. So one of the techniques that I like to use is, tell me all the color green you see in the room. Tell me all the color blue you see in the room. How many windows are in this house? How many windows are in this room? Getting them to kind of come out of that and start focusing. Does that make sense? So it depends on the spouse. Some of them are okay with touch. Others of them, if you touch them, you're going to get punched. So, it just depends.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
That's why you have to self-educate and understand like what your triggers are. I'm very, very aware of my triggers. And actually I learned a lot through my therapies of figuring out where those triggers come from. So my girlfriend that lives with me after years and years of living with me, and she's self-educated too. She's one of my greater strengths because when I'm being triggered or we see that possible trigger coming, she will sometimes even remove me from the situation before I even see it coming.
See, that's just it. And I honestly, after the 4th of July, I had a lot of vets telling me, it's like, oh crap, I thought I could handle going out with the kids and, you know, being around the fireworks. And instead it just sent them south. So you have to know what your triggers are. You have to understand what your spouse's triggers are if they were the combat veteran, whether they were male or female. And if there is even the possibility of them going dissociate. I always say that wrong. I want to say dissociated.
Say whatever you want. It's your show.
It's my show.
Make up words.
Fuck y'all. I'll say what I want. So whatever the trigger is, make sure that you talk about it ahead of time. If you get triggered, this is what I'm going to do, you know, so that there's a plan. So it's not just let's see what happens. You know, that's not the time to try new stuff. So you want to make sure that, you know, if there's even the possibility of getting triggered, don't go for a while. I mean, I understand that people are like, oh no, I don't want to avoid stuff. But if you haven't gotten the dissociation under control yet, and if you're still suffering from extreme symptoms, you don't want to force yourself to be in that situation with your family, with your kids in public. Because it's hard. It's really, really hard. So don't do that to yourself.
Anything can bring on a flashback or a trigger. Anything can. And you know, one of the things, like there's times back when I would be having a flashback and I wouldn't know it, and I might be watching TV with my kids, and we're watching a Disney movie, which nothing's happening that trigger me, but I'm having a flashback, and I'm not there. I'm in my head, and something's going through, which I've learned over like therapies and just learning about PTSD. One of the biggest triggers can be is our senses, which we have a bunch of them, but the biggest one is smell. So I learned a long time ago that I could have been having an event or a trigger, or something could have triggered me, and my kids open a bag of Cheetos or something, and I'm kind of running through stuff through my filter of what's going on inside here, right? And I smell Cheetos. So I kind of get through what I'm doing, and maybe I didn't even notice something was happening. Well, 3 weeks later, a month later, the kids and I are watching a TV show or something, or a Disney movie. They open a bag of Cheetos. I have a panic attack.
Boom.
So again, that's when you don't understand.
Yeah, because it got associated with the smell.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, because you wouldn't think that it would happen, but it does. So that's why I'm saying PTSD is really a slippery thing to have, because yes, anything can trigger it. Smells can trigger it. Sights can trigger it. Sounds can trigger it. Even feeling something, a fabric or something can trigger it. So you have to be really aware, and you have to educate the living crap out of yourself and out of your family. And that includes kids. So this is something I want to talk about too, is that a lot of times, not just veterans, but specifically veterans, are afraid to discuss this with their kids because they don't want to be seen as weak, and they don't want to be seen as having, craziness or mental health issue or whatever.
And that was me with my kids. My kids were, when I was at I wouldn't say at low, but when I was struggling the most, my kids were in high school. So they're young teenage girls that are, life's coming at them fast, and they're trying to learn so much about life. So it was really tough in our relationship. And now they're in their mid-20s, and now we do talk about it. So, and I respect them because they really, really ask a lot of questions about it, and they really care about me to understand why it was back then or how things are now. So, but you're right. I should, and when she said that, I felt like I was broken. I felt like I should have been able to be the strong soldier to take care of those things. But that's when you got to understand that it's okay. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
But our responsibility would be learning about it, communicating with people, and
teaching
and finding modalities.
Exactly. And it's really important to talk to the kids, because kids don't understand what's going on. Why is dad or mom so irritable? I don't get it. Wait, why did mom or dad kind of check out mentally when we went to, I don't know, Disney and they did the fireworks? Why did mom or dad fill in the blank? So it's really, really important to talk to the kids. Don't have it be this big secret, because there's no shame to it, guys. There is no shame to it. And it drives me crazy when I hear anybody saying something about, oh, well, they're just weak, or because it used to be, back in the old days, PTSD used to be known as shell shock. back in like World War I, okay? And they didn't understand what it was. And so they did put a stigma to it. And it has taken literally over 100 years to get that stigma gone. So the best thing to do is talk about it. If you have PTSD, if you know somebody that has PTSD, talk about it, educate as many people as you possibly can. It is no different than how I educate people on abuse. We need to educate on every single mental health issue out there so we take the stigma off of it so that these guys and gals will get the help that they need and not feel this weird toxic shame that really is not theirs. So that's what's important to me. So educate. If you've got kids and you have PTSD, educate them about it. Let them know, hey, I may check out when, or hey, this is what it is, and these are the symptoms, or here's how you can help me come back to the present moment. And no, it's not you usually when I get irritated, although if they do something stupid, yes. But I mean, it's like, it's teenagers. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? So it's really, really important to talk to them. Okay, so one of the questions was, how long does it take to get over trauma bonding? I was with my ex-narc for 13 years. Only 5 of those years had the most abuse from, and when his family began attacking me verbally due to his lies telling me that we weren't together. Okay, so it takes a long time, guys. It does take a long time to get over the trauma bonding because you have to break that hypnotic trance that they have put us in with the intermittent positive rewards. So intermittent positive rewards being used for good, intermittent positive rewards being used for evil by abusers. So you have to be away from those intermittent positive rewards, and you have to work on yourself, and you have to work on the self-esteem, and you have to work on knowing who you are. So again, I'm going to quote Lao Tzu, who wrote The Art of War. If you know yourself, you have a 50% chance of beating the enemy. If you know yourself and your enemy, you have a 100% chance. So you have to educate yourself on, just like when I had that moment coming out of the car and I'm like, oh, I'm in love with the driver. And I'm like, whoa, no, stop that shit. What the fuck? Trauma bonding. Hello. Do you see where I'm going? So it takes self-awareness. It does. It takes self-awareness, and it takes breaking that hypnotic trance that they put us into. So good question. But it takes a long time, but it can be done. So don't ever give up hope on that. So you just keep working on yourself. That is the biggest thing. Okay. I
would say anything with PTSD is you're like I always say in all of our interviews for the vets, because I live it every day, is when you have PTSD, your recovery is never over. It's never over. So you have to do those things every day that keep yourself on the right side of the fence, which Correct. You keep talking about being positive. And I just, like I said, you said, how was church? I just got back from church. They said, if you're not going to say anything to build somebody else up, keep your mouth shut.
Do you remember Bambi?
Yeah.
Do you remember, was it Thumper?
Yeah.
There was like, you can't say something nice. Don't say nothing at all.
But I mean, it's your choice based off of if you have a condition or not, or whatever, of how you live your life. And
exactly.
It's positivity.
Hi, Lindsay. Lindsay's saying hi to us. Hi, Lindsay. Do you ever get over trauma bonding? Yes, you do. It does take time. And part of the reason why Jess and I are always focusing in on the positive, and why I love what your pastor said today, is we are designed to look for danger. That is who we are as human beings, because we needed to look for danger when we were, cavemen out in the wild doing whatever, so that we didn't get killed by a boulder or, whatever. So, we're always looking for danger, So a periscope goes, it looks for danger. And then usually, if there's no trauma, it'll go down and everything's fine. We come back to a baseline level normal. If, however, we have been in a situation where we have PTSD, where we have either been threatened ourselves, we have seen somebody else threatened, we have been in a life-threatening situation, we've had this huge jolt of adrenaline and something horrible has happened, the up periscope goes up and it stays up there. And it doesn't ever go down, and it keeps looking, or make stuff up. And that is not healthy, because again, the cortisol levels are just insane, and you never come down to that theta brainwave where you're relaxed and you're chill and you're, that meditative brainwave stuff, which is why I think that doing Vetdrenaline, doing the program, if you have PTSD, and doing all of the yoga and the meditation and the adrenaline stuff is just phenomenal.
All positive.
Yeah, it's all positive. And it gets the brain, and Ryan actually mentioned this, it gets the brain to associate adrenaline with a positive thing, as opposed to, holy shit, we're going to die.
That's why you loved the roller coaster when you were a kid.
Yeah. Still do.
Yeah, but I mean, you weren't fearful on it. You couldn't wait to get in line and get on it because of the rush you're going to get.
Right.
And then what do you do when you get off it? You want to go right back in the
line.
line.
Let's go do it again. It's just like the Incredibles at Disneyland. I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was Screaming California is what it used to be. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. And you associate it with something fun and something good.
And positive too.
Positive. So you want to work on positive affirmations. You want to have really good positive affirmations because we do get stuck in that negative mindset. It is so easy for veterans to fall into that trap of just being negative and just focusing on what's wrong. So what I recommend, and I don't know what you recommend, but I'm going to tell you what I recommend. Positive affirmations in the mirror. If you can, not everybody can look at themselves in the mirror, and that's okay. But if you can look at yourself in the mirror, you make eye contact with yourself. You say, hello, good to see you. Have a good day. What have you just done? You have programmed your subconscious that you want a good day. And it's going to go, oh, okay, kids, she wants a good day. Let's set about making it a good day. Because how many times have you woken up and said, oh, it's going to be a shitty day. And lo and behold, it's a shitty day. Why? Because your subconscious goes, oh, okay, kids, she wants it to be a shitty day. Let's make it a shitty day.
Whatever you want, the universe is going to reveal to you.
Oh, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. So we talk about that with fitness too. It's like that positive affirmations. When you get up in the morning and you flip on the bathroom light and it's the first thing you see is yourself in the morning, most people do negative self-talk because they don't like their bodies.
Or themselves.
Or anything. So it's like the first glimpse of, if you say it out loud or not, whatever you think about yourself right away in the morning, you just you projected your whole day in that. So it could be positive, it could be negative. Yep. Or it could be kind of in that, whatever.
So always make it positive. Yeah. So when I take a look in the mirror, instead of going, oh my God, I'm 53, I go, hey, damn, I'm alive, I'm breathing, I'm on the right side of the grass. You know, it's all good, baby. It's all good. And it really is a choice. It really is a choice. And what I cannot stand is when I hear people get stuck in that victim mode. Everything's happening to me. Like Eeyore. Remember Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh? Everything
this is like a Disney theme
show today. Because I'm going to Disneyland in a couple of weeks. So I don't know if you guys saw my nails. So anyway, but it is a choice. And you have to fight, literally, through that negativity, because it's kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? When you gain speed going downhill, it's like momentum. It's like you get this momentum of negativity and you have to fight that and break that and get a momentum of positivity. So absolutely what Jess is saying, no matter when you catch your reflection, and I tell people this all the time, if you see yourself in a window, say something nice to you, say something positive. And if it's too painful to look at yourself, then when you're in the car, I want it to be a steady stream of, you know what? I'm a good person. You know what? I do this really well. You know what? I really like fill in the blank. You know, positivity.
And we focus that with the vets in the program that it's your choice.
Yes.
So with Vetdrenaline, it's not going to be a hand out. It's a hand up.
Yes.
So one of the big things we talk about is camaraderie. Veterans miss combat.
Yes.
Or combat veterans miss combat.
Right.
And what they also miss, which I don't care who says it or not, but I lived it, is you miss camaraderie. Because you get home and you had a team, you had brothers or sisters that were fighting for your back every day. And then now you get home and you go to your normal job, typing behind a desk every day, and that is completely gone. So that box you used to live in of having camaraderie, of that love, that brother, that sisterhood is now gone. So Vetdrenaline creates that we have shop days that all the veterans come to the shop, or when we have booths or for a fundraiser, most of the past vets come out to hang out with the other vets. And one thing we always talk about is you have to be positive, because it is about that current veteran, or it's about the current veteran that's going through healing. And we all need to stay positive and build each other up. Because we're all a team.
Exactly. Well, and I think it's really important for vets to get together too. And I do think this applies to survivors of abuse as well. I'm going to give a caveat about abuse survivors support groups, though, because sometimes predators try to infiltrate those because they're looking for new supply. But do find your tribe, guys. Do find your tribe, no matter whether you're a veteran or whether you're a survivor of abuse. It is really important to share your story with other people that have been through the same damn thing, because A, you don't feel as alone, and B, you get some validation, and C, you get the camaraderie. It's kind of like, oh my God, I really like you. You're cool. Let's hang out and have coffee, you know? Exactly
why we do all the, like if you go on YouTube and YouTube Vetdrenaline, you're going to see all the veteran stories. They tell their story because now there's a place for somebody to go, oh my God,
Just
That's exactly me.
Mm-hmm.
When that person thought, I'm alone in the world,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do this,
Right.
and that's where suicide comes from, because they feel alone, they feel defeated.
Did I mention once an hour we lose a vet? Once an hour we lose a vet to suicide, because they do feel alone and they do feel isolated. So it is super important. If you hear your brain starting to do the whole thing of, I'm alone and there's nobody else and nobody else has been through this and I'm tragically unique and da-da-da-da-da, get your ass off the couch, get over to YouTube, come onto channels like this, find your tribe. Find your tribe. Get involved in Vetdrenaline, get involved in things that are going to get you back with your community, your tribe. Super important, because the only way that suicide can happen is if we allow that darkness to penetrate and sit and stay and make a home there. You got to kick that shit out. You do. And it takes work. So the question is, are some people more prone to PTSD? Yes, absolutely. Again, some people are prone to being, cry at the drop of a hat. You show me Bambi. Yes. Mm-hmm. Back to Disney. You show me a Disney movie and I will probably be in tears at some point. And other people will watch the same thing and be like, oh, that was nice. It depends on your makeup. And some people are prone to PTSD. Some people are prone to anxiety. Other people, not so much, but it doesn't mean anything other than nurture, nature. Hello. Do we know what causes this? I have no idea. It's probably a combination of both. I hope that answered the question.
Well, and it talks more about the question is, like, if you do have any level of PTSD, I think part of self-care is knowing, like, just staying at home and doing nothing about it, you're never going to get better. You'll get worse, because there's no staying there or being stuck. You're either moving backwards or you're moving forward. So if you are trying to move forward, it's back like when I was struggling, I tried to find things that I could work on. So way back when, standing in the line at the grocery store, when I would be closed in because I can't go forward, can't be going back because I'm in line at the grocery store waiting to check out, used to make me go insane. So guess what? I stopped shopping. I stopped going. But is that something that affects my quality of life? Absolutely, because I should be able to go to any store and walk through the register and check out. Mm-hmm. So slow but sure, maybe I would start going to times that it wasn't as busy. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't be as busy. So I wouldn't be as crowded. And I'd be in there and I would do things like, okay, that was a little challenging for me. I was heightened a little bit, but I got through it. I did not die. Something bad did not happen. And then I retrained my brain of going, okay, going through the register or cashier at the grocery store isn't a traumatic event for me because I felt trapped and I couldn't get out. So
exactly.
So you have to find where you're at right now and make slow steps. And you just have to adjust.
Exactly.
And it's completely okay. That's one thing. It's completely okay. You just have to adjust to find what works.
So what do you tell vets that come to you and say, I just want to forget it. I don't ever want to think of it again?
Yeah, you can't. It's a part of you.
Yep.
It is a part of you. So again, that's when it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. It is your responsibility to get well and be a good person and do good things on this earth for your family, for yourself.
Exactly. So what I tell people is when they're like, okay, I've gone through this horrible abuse, I've gone through this horrible event, and I just don't ever want to think of it again. Okay, that is like asking the sun not to shine. It's going to happen. It's just going to happen. So you have a choice at this point. So when a thought, again, this is going to have to do with thought stopping. When a thought pops up and it is uncomfortable, you do not want to resist it. So for example, this is my favorite one. There's a pink elephant taking a shit in the corner of the living room. If you sit there and go, pink elephant taking a shit in the corner of the living room. Oh my God, I'm not thinking about the people. I'm not thinking about the pink elephant. I'm not thinking about the pink. I'm not thinking about what the fuck am I thinking about the whole time?
Yeah.
That pink elephant, which means that horrible event is constantly replaying in your mind all the time. Oh my God. And it's driving you crazy. But if you go, pink elephant taking a shit in the corner of the living room, well, wow. God damn, I hate that fucker. What am I going to do about it? Well, I could go to a therapist. I could do Vetdrenaline. I could talk to some other buddies who've been through a similar experience that I have. I could find my tribe. And pretty soon, that damn pink elephant starts shrinking. Because you've acknowledged it, you haven't resisted it, but you also have not invited it in for coffee to allow it to have that darkness to spread. Does that make sense? I hope everybody understood that. If you didn't, let me know. Did that make sense to you?
No, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Just checking. So you really never forget a traumatic event. You just don't for two reasons. One, evolutionarily, we remember things so that we do not do them again, so that we don't get killed, so that we can go have babies and keep doing the race, right? So you have to remember stuff so that you don't do the stupid thing over again and get killed. Two, we have body memory, total body memory. So for example, when I was in the car with the strange guy, that sounds so weird. I was in the car with the strange guy and he was doing the drifting and, you know, getting spun out and stuff. My body responded the same way it did when I was a preteen, which was, oh my freaking God, we're going to die, right? Even though I was totally safe or mostly safe. I don't know. So anyway, you saw the video of that. Yeah. So, you know, the body memory, it has memory, guys, because remember, the amygdala is stupid. And so it tells the body, oh my God, it's the same thing. It's the same exact event. It's the same thing, same thing, same thing. So our bodies respond in the exact same manner. We are not just going to forget it. Our bodies will not allow us to, because when a trigger comes in, we're going to tense up. We're going to do whatever it was that we did when the original trauma happened. So
let's use this for an example.
Yeah.
I'm super honored to be here talking about this program that is a very, it's a huge program now. Our nonprofit is growing crazy and we're helping tons and tons of vets. If I hadn't struggled through my issues and acknowledged the elephant and worked with it, I would not be here today. I would not be in a good spot to be able to use my experiences or build an organization that has a place for veterans to go. So if you have PTSD, if you're a combat veteran, if you were in a car accident when you're 12 years old that you have PTSD from or whatever, it doesn't matter, but you have to talk with it to figure out, you know, in a way, how can it help you?
Right.
Like having PTSD and being a combat veteran, as crazy as it sounds, it's helped me.
Right.
It's helped me become a better person to be able to do good things for other people in this world. So did I take charge of it and say, no, this is what I'm doing? Absolutely not. But I've coped. I found coping mechanisms, which adrenaline was one of my coping, mindfulness.
Right.
That's why, and fitness, obviously
Yoga,
getting moving. Yep.
Meditation.
All that stuff.
Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. So Beth is asking, where are the Vetdrenaline programs for survivors of DV? So here's a question. If somebody just has CPTSD, can they come play with you guys?
Well, I mean, they probably could. We would just have to do a different event. But yeah, I mean, like maybe this is what something spreads into it. That's,
I think it would be great.
But this would help anybody.
So also talk about the VA now. So originally the VA was like, what is this? You know, this doesn't work.
Well, we got contacted by the VA and they talked about doing some more educational programs off of non-standard therapy because obviously, you know, we could talk about organizations and stuff, but I mean, the VA is working really hard to try to find other modalities that are working for vets on the non-medical sector. So we actually sent a few of our veterans down to Tucson to be able to do some interviews for the VA to talk about our program of what they've done and how it's helped them. Now, some of these vets have went through our program a long time ago. Now, I always say a vet never leaves our program, but they've been through the program a long time ago, and so they still went down and did the interview because they were still in a good spot. Not saying our program did that to them, but it provided a modality for them to get on the right side of the fence of it and hopefully stay there. And if they're not, they have a place to come back to. So
exactly. So yeah, I do think that eventually, you know, if you have questions about Vetdrenaline, if you have PTSD and you're not a vet, feel free to call Jess anyway. Because, you know, if we get enough people, again, if we get enough people interested in doing an event just for survivors of abuse,
absolutely,
we'll make it happen.
Absolutely.
We'll make it happen, you know? So, and plus the fact I like hanging out with the vets anyway, so. Yeah. Okay, here is the question. Oh, thank you for serving the country. Yes, absolutely. Hi guys, I have a close friend with PTSD big time, 30 plus years of those things in the military. He had a heart attack Thursday, 3 stents in to fix the problem. Pure stress is the issue more so than diet and exercise, which screws up with our blood. Oh, good Lord, this is a really long one. Okay, so vets should be checked. Okay, so yeah, absolutely. So when we are faced with non-stop stress, non-stop cortisol, right, in our bodies, it absolutely contributes to heart disease, stomach issues, colon cancer, diabetes, trying to think of other ones, stroke, blood clots, fill in the blank. Why? Because the cortisol fucks with our entire system. It fucks with everything. It fucks with everything. So yeah, when vets are in a high stress situation and they cannot come down from that level of constant alertness, awareness up here, danger, 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 danger. Yeah, they're going to have all sorts of physical issues, which is odd, not odd. It's how do I explain this? So survivors of abuse go through the same thing.
Mhm.
Survivors of abuse have diabetes issues like crazy. They have heart issues like crazy. They have fibromyalgia like crazy. They have autoimmune diseases like crazy. Why? Because we're up here all the fucking time, and so are combat veterans.
Mhm.
So it's the cortisol. So yeah, absolutely. Every single survivor of any kind of trauma. I don't care if it was a freaking car accident. I don't care if it was combat veteran. I don't care if it was, surviving a parent like mine. Yeah, go get tested for everything.
Yeah.
Get your liver panel done. Get your thyroid checked. Get your everything. It was funny because it's like I went to Cameron over at Aurora Natural Medicine. Turns out I have goiters. What the fuck? That's a medieval disease. What the fuck?
That's supposed to be like huge.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I'm sitting here going, how the fuck did I get goiters? Well, duh, I'm a survivor. I have CPTSD. Abso-fucking-ly. If I'm confronted with an abuser, my first thought is to probably kill them. My second thought is to get the hell out of there. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, it's no wonder I had an autoimmune that was going after my thyroid. It makes sense. So yes, absolutely. Every single survivor needs to get into a doctor and get a full panel done and get everything tested. I mean, like, hormones, endocrinology, your gut, your colon, get a colon, one of those horrible colon things that, oh, Jesus, God, I hate the prep for it. But you got to do it because polyps will show up. Absolutely. Because the body is turning in on itself. Absolutely. So yes, every veteran absolutely should go get physicals once a fucking year.
And it's like, the way I explain it is dominoes. You either have healthy or negative dominoes. So something like stress and cortisol, you flip that one domino over and it's going to just hit the whole pile down. It's going to affect everything in your life. And as humans, we don't do well with stress as it is.
No, we don't.
There's a great book out there called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. So a zebra's at the watering hole. The lion tries to attack it and kill it. The zebra runs away.
Right.
And 2 seconds later, the zebra finds another watering hole and goes, oh, I'm going to take a drink. Us humans, we'd not be able to ever drink water ever again because the lion's going to get me.
Because we've associated it with.
Yeah. So we, like, just normal being a human, we're animals, right? We don't deal with stress well because guess what happens? One event happens, maybe it's an abuse thing. Maybe somebody abuses somebody. So somebody did something wrong to abuse somebody. Well, that abuser took one point in time to abuse them. Well, the abusee, the victim, how many times do you think they judge themselves for the rest of their life all the time? So who's done more damage? The abuser or the abusee, the victim, because they re-abuse themselves for 10, 20, 30 years because of this event, or the combat veteran of whatever. So, I mean, it sounds a little harsh, but that's when we have to be responsible and say, I'm going to take care of my physical, mental, and spiritual wellness to get over the hump of this stuff. It never goes away. It is a part of you, but are you making it for the better or for the worse? What line is the dominoes following?
Exactly. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Did I miss a question? I did. All right, hang on. Okay.
Animals are a great comfort. I have 3 dogs, and one's a trained therapy dog, and the other 2 are going to go through therapy soon. So, but think of a dog. A dog lives in the world of love all the time.
And the now.
Now and love.
Now. Always.
So think of a dog. If you want to be happier and less stress in your life, live like that dog. They live out of love.
You like your dog.
Yeah. Their actions are out of love, and they live in the present all the time. Yeah. So
they don't hang on to the past.
My dogs are great for just de-escalating.
So I am a big believer in emotional support animals. I know that has been abused lately by a lot of people, but honest to God, emotional support animals are a real thing, and I strongly suggest that we band together and make sure that it does not get taken away because, like I said, some people have abused it. So another question is, okay, can you tell me where there's a support group, but I'm a civilian? Okay, so Flying Monkeys Denied is a great online community. The other one is outofthefog.website. Outofthefog.website and Flying Monkeys Denied are 2 great communities where you can hopefully find some support. Again, be careful because, like I said, predators, they try to, predatate. Predatate? I just made a word.
Yeah.
So
From the Disney movies.
They try to be predators no matter where they are. Jesus God.
I mean, I get a good answer for that.
Yeah.
And instead of like clinical, like where do I go that get help with this? And I learned this a long time ago, and this really helps me. think of the things that you used to do when you were a kid, when you lived in the present and you didn't give a care about anything. The things that you kind of really brought yourself to zero was you're relaxed. For me, it was like building stuff. I have an engineer brain. I like to take stuff apart or build something or create something. That's another big part of Vetdrenaline is I build and work on the cars with the best, and that helps me. So think of the things that you used to do when you were a kid, whatever that was. Ride your bike, play baseball,
paint,
whatever it is.
Roller skate.
Go do that.
Ice skate.
Now, if you want camaraderie, go find a meetup group or do something that you do with like-minded people that do that.
Exactly.
And then you probably don't have anybody that's a predator looking for people, because it's not like you're trying to, I have PTSD, so I want to find a PTSD group. You need to start pushing the dominoes in the right direction, the positive direction, which is going to help your mindfulness to be able to start doing stuff that you really, really like. Because as adults, we're way overworked, we're way overstressed. So
we don't play. Have you noticed that?
We don't play. So
we don't play.
One of the people said, I said to one of the people a few weeks ago, I said, what did you used to do when you were a kid, like on the weekends? Oh, I don't know. Like, no, seriously, like, what did you do? And she said, I like to ride my bike. I said, then go ride your bike.
Ride your bike.
Ride your bike. It'll de-stress you. It'll de-escalate you. And she looked at me like riding a bike was a foreign thing because she hasn't done it for so long.
Exactly.
So whatever your thing is, and if you don't know what it is, then you need to do some soul searching and find that out.
Yeah, go play. This is the thing. It's like what I tell my clients, because very often when they come in from an abusive relationship, the first thing they will tell me is, I don't know who the hell I am anymore. I've lost myself.
I've said that before.
Yeah.
I've absolutely said that before.
So what I tell them is, what did you love to do? What charges your batteries? What makes you happy? What makes you giggle? What makes you just be ridiculously happy? You know, and you go do it. So for me, it's like, I love Catherine Taylor's workbook, the Inner Child Workbook, because it helps us on two levels. One, it helps us figure out when the trauma happened for abuse, if we had toxic parents, at what age. But the other thing of it is too, is it invites you to go play. So like one of the things she has you do is pull out a blanket, grab some applesauce, play with the applesauce, see what happens, you know, or go fly a kite, or, you know, go do those childlike things. Because often when we were with abusers, when we tried to be a child, they would tell us we were childish as opposed to childlike. So it's perfectly okay to be childlike. It's not okay to be childish, but it's okay to be childlike. And it's really good to get back in touch with that inner child, no matter what age it is, because that's where the joie de vivre is. That's where our joy is. That's why play is so important. And if you'll notice with abusers, I'm sorry, I keep taking it back to abusers. We'll get back to PTSD in just a second. If you notice with abusers, they don't have a sense of humor. Everything is very serious. We're adults here. We're very serious here. You know, and there's no fun. So because they are so intent on controlling, they can't allow fun, because fun is creative and you can't control that. So so get back to the fun. Get back to the fun. I think it's hugely important. Okay, Michelle for Deborah has some ideas of groups. That's awesome. Thank you guys. See, this is why I love you guys. This is why I love you guys as a tribe, because you help each other out. Thank you. Synergy. I love it.
There's camaraderie.
There's camaraderie. Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. Okay. Have you ever heard of people having massive adrenaline rushes, like a heart rate of 240? Whew.
That's way too high.
Wow, that's way too high. Yeah, go to a doctor. That's not good. So I do know that sometimes when the heart is not properly functioning, the heart rate will increase, and occasionally it takes ablation to fix the parts of the muscle that are just that shouldn't be doing that. So my suggestion is if you have crazy high heart rate, you need to go see a doc. Go get a, what is it called? An EKG? Not an EKG. Is it an EKG? Yeah, that's when EKG. I always get the EEG and the EKG mixed up. Anyway, so go to a doc, get it checked out, get it totally checked. That's way the fuck too high. Yeah, absolutely.
But people always talk about, oh, this is happening or this is happening. Mm-hmm. Well, that's whatever the event's happening, of an anxiety attack or whatever. It's how you're living your lifestyle. Like, it's how you're thinking and living every day. So get to the root of the problem and start figuring out those things like we talked about, being positive and stuff like that, and getting past that. So you don't have to focus on the events that are happening. Focus on why those events are coming into play and they're actually coming up and actually happening.
One thing else I want to hit on too is that one of the things that we as survivors, whether we are combat veterans or just survivors of abuse, you know what I mean, survivors of abuse, you do not want to dull yourself with drugs or alcohol. You do not want to do it. Absolutely not, because the alcoholism and addiction rate for combat veterans is huge and no bueno. So you don't want to avoid, you don't want to numb, you don't want to, you also don't want to dwell in it, but you also don't want to be numbing yourself with drugs and alcohol and things like that. And that is a danger. It's maladaptive.
So something has changed in your life. So you're going to have to find something to cope with it. Drugs and alcohol are not the way to do it. But you cannot leave it be either. You cannot ignore it. You can't shove the elephant away. So you have to find positive coping mechanisms, which we've talked about, like 15 of them today.
So the other question I was hearing is, the second guessing themselves. Is this real? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I evil? Am I this? Am I that? So when we are in the fog, yes, we second guess ourselves. So when we have had contact with our abuser, yes, we are going to go, oh my God, am I the problem? Because the abuser flips it around on us, projects, and says that we're the problem. So you have to stop second guessing. If it's coming from the abuser, if their lips are moving, they're lying, basically. Remind yourself of that. So hugely important. It's not you. Don't second guess. So.
And if you're with an abuser, get out of that situation.
Get out of it if you can. Now, the problem is that if they're sharing custody, they can't, and they have to see him. But you ground yourself before you go, and you make sure you have a sounding board to go talk to after having been in contact with them, so that you are safe. Hugely important. Okay. Is it possible to change my flashbacks, fear, phobias by writing positive affirmations to change my cognitive thinking? Yes and no. That's a big question.
It helps.
It helps. It mitigates it. So you are probably always going to have that knee-jerk reaction when a trigger comes in. It's what happens after the knee-jerk reaction that the CBT helps with, because normally, untreated, knee-jerk reaction comes in and we get stuck in that knee-jerk reaction and it just snowballs, right? If we use the positive affirmations, if we do the self-assuring, if we do the, hey, I'm safe, I'm okay, everything's fine, the panic attacks will be less or not at all. And the panic attacks you'll get through a lot faster if they do occur. And you will have your power back in that, hey, I was able to self-soothe. I was able to take care of this. I am okay. So will it go away altogether? Again, just like trying to forget something? No, because there's always going to be triggers. There's, they
never go away.
They never go away, because you'll hear somebody's voice sounds like your abuser. Holy crap. I know that would send me into a, kind of thing. So,
and I have things that, like, the knee jerk always happens because that's something you can't control.
Right.
But after that, I'm in control. I have to be responsible. So whatever, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter where you come from, whatever story you're going to tell yourself at that point, you're going to believe. So if you're being responsible, you put yourself in that position of whatever it is, positive affirmations or anything like that, or the story that you're going to tell yourself when you get that knee jerk, when that trigger comes up, is this what you tell yourself you're going to believe.
Yeah, exactly. Just like I said, if you tell yourself it's going to be a crappy day, it's going to be a crappy day. Trust me on that one. If you look at yourself and go, hey, have a great day, it's going to be a great day, or at least a better day than you would have had. So listen to me now, believe me later. Our subconscious is constantly listening to what we say. Super important to stay on the positive, because if you don't, it's going to be this dark black cloud like you are following you around. See, Disney again is going to be following you around wherever you go, and you don't want that. Yes, when we get the adrenaline rush from seeing the abuser, we do go out of our bodies. It's called dissociation. That helium feeling in your head, that's called dissociation, because our bodies are freaking the fuck out. We've got all this, oh my God, he's here, he's there, or she's there, or whatever. And we kind of go,
and that's your blood pressure going high and dropping.
Oh yeah.
So that's where that foggy of the brain comes from.
No bueno, no bueno. Okay, breathing techniques are huge. Calming music. Oh my God, music is huge in healing PTSD. It is, because we associate music with feelings and moods.
If you are struggling from any type of abuse or PTSD and you're recovering, go do sound healing. There's a lot of companies that do it for yoga now, but they use gongs and other different types of meditation, but sound healing. Yoga Nidra is one of them.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Is that the gong bath that you guys did when you played the gong?
Nicole Ann Yoga is one of our sponsors for Vetdrenaline, which she does a wonderful job sound healing, and it's amazing.
It is, and it's incredible. I mean, I haven't done it with you guys, but I will, I promise. I've done it with other gong practitioners. And so what they do is there's this huge gong and they play it, and it's different vibrations.
It's not the noise,
it's not the noise, it's the vibration. So my biggest mistake on the first time I ever did it is I was right up front.
Oh yeah.
I cleaned the house until 3 o'clock in the morning because I was like, okay, this is great. I gotta do it. It was like,
some people are tired, some people are, energy, but yeah, great.
Yeah. So, but the further back you said it's a little less intense, but I know for me, it put me into a meditative, that theta brainwave, put me into that meditative state. And you're going to laugh, but I heard all sorts of stuff. Like I heard church bells ringing, and I heard like the call to prayer.
When I do it, I see 3-dimensional objects with like colors, which they say that's cool. Like a certain state of meditation.
Yeah.
Super relaxed.
Super relaxing.
Super good stuff.
Good stuff. So yeah, this is all stuff to look into because what was it called again? Yoga Nidra.
Nidra, yeah.
Is hugely healing. I strongly recommend it. And yoga is not, I think everybody thinks when they hear the word yoga, they think it means twisting yourself into a pretzel.
There's a million different types.
Yeah, there's a million different types. This is the one where you lay down, a little pillow and a little blanket, and somebody plays a gong and you just go wherever you need to go. It's awesome. It is freaking awesome. If you have not tried it, try it. I will tell you though that sometimes the emotions can be super intense. I did have a class one time where one of the ladies apparently had some sort of flashback to the parent abusing her, and so we had to kind of stop and help her because she was hysterical, and that was okay because she needed to access,
snoring, like whatever.
Yep, she needed to access it because apparently he had tried to like drown her, so this was intense. So yeah, so stuff is going to come up. So I think the biggest thing for us as survivors, whether it is survivors of combat or whether it is survivors of abuse, is expect the unexpected. Expect that stuff is going to come up when we start working on ourselves in the most unexpected times. She did not expect that to happen when we were all laying down and a gong was going. So yeah, just expect it. It's
give yourself some grace.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Absolutely, it's perfectly okay.
You need to move through the mud.
It is perfectly. Yeah, we need to move through the mud. I like that. The other saying I've heard is "No mud, no lotus."
Yeah,
I like that. I like that a lot. Can you discuss catastrophic thinking? I think this is a symptom.
No, we don't.
What? Who? What?
It's an hour.
Oh, do you have to go?
No, I don't. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Well, if you have to go.
No, I don't have to go.
Okay, good, because we got more questions.
Okay.
I'm good.
I thought we were cut at an hour.
Meh.
Okay.
Meh.
Cool.
Let's see how many more questions we have. So catastrophic thinking. Do you want to handle this one? This is when people are like, "Oh, this is terrible. This is horrible. This is awful." This is...
Yeah, and I've lived it, or I still do it sometimes, and sometimes we're the worst because it's like I get like I let everybody down. It's like, okay, well, you didn't let anybody down. You might be letting yourself down a little bit because you're not caring about yourself and moving in the right direction to get better. But it's almost like that snowball. It goes back to the same dominoes I was talking about. They're hitting that one domino that's going off in the wrong direction,
right? And
it's just snowballs. So you have to self-care enough to interrupt that.
Right. Exactly.
You have to interrupt it. And like you said, you got to talk to yourself like, okay, what's happening right now? What am I doing? And then you have to project something positive. You have to, maybe that's, if it's anxiety, maybe it is breathing because you're going to de-escalate yourself.
Right.
Maybe if it's something that if you're feeling anger, do something that makes you happy. But you're going to have to recognize those things when you're doing that.
Yeah.
Or if it's a significant other, help them interrupt that without trying to make things worse.
Exactly. So with catastrophic thinking, it's all or nothing. It's black or white, good or bad, all or nothing. That is called splitting. So splitting is not healthy because the world is a plethora of colors, including gray. So when we have something go wrong, especially if we are perfectionists, and we are often perfectionists if we had alcoholic mom or dad, because they were perfectionists, they demanded that we be perfect. And if we do something wrong, what our brains will do is, oh, fuck, I fucked that up. I'm a horrible human being. I'm terrible. What?
Yeah.
Did one little thing went wrong? Honey, no, it's not an arm. It's not a leg. It'll grow back. It's fine.
Stop judging yourself.
Exactly. So when you hear that catastrophic thinking, you literally thought stopping. So this is where, I'm going to pull out my little sock puppet. This is where you go, thank you for your input. Shut the fuck up. Why? Because I I'm the boss. I say so. I'm the boss of it. It is not the boss of me. You know what? I am a good person. Did I fuck up? Yes. Do I need to make amends? Yep. Okay. Am I a good person? Yes, I am. You know why? Because I fucking say so. I fucking say so, not this. Does that make sense? So it's called thought stopping. So you stop the catastrophic thought, you shut it down, you replace it immediately with a positive, because otherwise you're just going to be like in this loop of like, I'm horrible, I'm terrible, I'm awful, I'm horrible, I'm terrible, I'm awful, I'm horrible, I'm terrible, I'm awful. You see where I'm going with that? So yeah, that's what you want to do. I love it when I make you smile. Okay. Good question though on the catastrophic thinking. Yes, it is a part of PTSD. Okay, where are we? Oh, honey, yes. So suicide is never the answer. Suicide is a permanent solution to an extremely temporary problem.
Exactly.
And my whole thing is, guys, living well is the best fucking revenge ever. You really want to thumb your nose at the enemy. You really want to thumb your nose at whoever is causing this issue for you. Live well. Live well. Go live your life.
It's
Be
your
happy.
Responsibility. It's your responsibility to
it is.
give yourself a good life.
It absolutely is. So, you know, if you are feeling suicidal, please do call the National Suicide Hotline. I can put that up on our website somewhere. Because like I said, veterans, every hour we lose a veteran.
The Veterans Crisis Hotline is wonderful. They do wonderful things, immediate things they do.
Yeah, and there's the warm line too. And I think this is why it is so important. And Deb, thank you for bringing this up. It is so important that we have a connection, because we're not alone. We're not a single one of us is alone, truly. If you believe in Jungian, universal unconsciousness, we are all one. We are all connected. We are all experiencing this life, this world together. And there is our people out there that will help you through this. So don't ever think that you're alone, and don't ever think suicide is the answer, because it's not. Because especially if you believe in karma, guess what? You're just going to come back and do it all over again, and don't do that, because why? So yeah, it's really, really important, and you're not alone, and your life is valuable. It is. Your life is valuable, and you have knowledge to give other people. And I think that's what Jess was saying, is like, our experiences, the horribleness that we went through was not for naught. It was not for nothing. It's like, it gave us, my passion is healing people from domestic violence. His passion is getting people healthy and fit, and working with veterans and getting them healthy and fit. Do you see where I'm going with this? Yeah. So it gave us our purpose in life, and we can teach others. So everybody can learn from everybody else. Honest to God. We even learn from the abusers. Think about it.
Yeah. Use the traumatic events to empower yourself.
For good.
Self-empowerment.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So journaling helps. Absolutely. If you cannot get to somebody, like say, for example, you're having those thoughts and you don't want to call, or you're embarrassed to call, don't ever be embarrassed to call, guys. When I was 16, I was suicidal. Are you kidding me? I was in the middle of the abuse. My dad was sexually molesting me. I was trapped. I couldn't get out. I was thinking, holy shit, fucking razor blade sounds really good right now. But you know what? I struggled through it. I journaled. I got to my sister. She talked me through it, and I got out, and things got better. Things got better. I think they always do. They always do. It's always darkest before the dawn. So journaling is huge. Get it out of your head. Get it onto paper. Why? Because then the brain goes, oh, you did something with it. Okay. And you'll be able to go to sleep. And then you can burn it. Don't keep it. The biggest mistake people make with journals is they keep all the negative stuff, When you're 110 years old sitting in your rocking chair in the old age home, I want your journal to be nothing but good stuff. Burn the bad stuff. Keep the good stuff. So helps you let go. So there's that. Okay. All right. I'm trying to find more questions. Hang on. The veterans in my life helped me to feel so much safer. I'm currently going to the gym. That is an anytime fitness location. I'm able to go in, having a door locked behind me, and be surrounded by a lot of safe people. Good. Many veterans included. It's a good dovetail for abuse survivors. See, this is why I love veterans.
Positive dominoes.
Positive dominoes. Because especially if, as a survivor of abuse, if we've got a crazy obsessive stalker, fuck yeah, I want to be surrounded by this guy and every Marine, and absolutely. The more people that are aware of the situation, the healthier and safer you are going to be. And the less likely a stalker is going to do something fucking stupid, because really it's like, do you really want to take on about 10 veterans? Really? No, I don't think so. Do you see where I'm going? And they're cowards. It's like stalkers are generally cowards. So yeah, you want to have as many eyes on the situation as possible. And if it's veterans, so much the better. So yay. Okay. Any comments on that, Jess? Did I get that wrong? Is that good?
Yeah,
okay. All right. Do you have any advice for a married couple in their 20s who both have trauma to work through?
Work through it.
Work through it. Yeah.
Self-educate.
Yep.
Like work through it.
Yep. Don't ignore it. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't think it's going to get better with time if you don't do anything about it. What ends up happening is if you do not address the trauma or whatever is going on or has gone on in the past, it will come out in your marriage. Why? Because what we tend to do is, if we do not address whatever happened in our past, we work it out in our current relationship. And that is so not a good thing to do. You will do so much damage to yourself and to each other. So get with a good therapist that is well-versed in trauma and start working through the trauma. So some books that I can recommend, and I'm sure that they're up on my website. PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. This is specifically about emotional abuse, okay? Another good book is The Self-Esteem Workbook by Schiraldi. Excellent. Get working on your self-esteem. The other one is The Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor. Again, you want to work on what happened and why and how to fix it so that you don't take it out on your partner. So oftentimes what will happen is we'll have a great deal of anger towards our trauma, our abuser, whoever the original abuser was. And instead of being able to put it back to where it belongs, back on the abuser, because of guilt, because of fear, because of obligation, the fog, fear, obligation, and guilt, what we'll do is we'll take it out on the safer target, which is
soft place to fall.
Yeah, the soft place to fall, which is our spouse or our friend or kids or whatever. And you don't want to do that because that's not their cross to bear. It's not. So if you have anger towards your abuser, you put it back towards the abuser. Now that doesn't mean you call up your abuser and go, "Hey, motherfucker, I hate your ass." It means what you do is you write it out. You write them a letter and burn it. Or what I had one of the people in the lecture tell me is like, you know what I really loved was writing it out and then mailing it to myself and then burning it because I got the sensation of having mailed it. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. Do it.
Putting it out in the world.
Yep, exactly. So you do want to work on that. Do not shove it away. Get with a good therapist. Start working those books. Start figuring out what the trauma is. Make sure you're not taking it out on the safer target because that is often what survivors of abuse do. And if the abusers are still around, we still have the possibility of going into the fog. And if we go into the fog, we will not even be aware that we are taking it out on our spouse. It'll be like a slap awake when they finally figure it out. So,
and I think try to find the good in everything. So we could say, oh, you had advice for couples in their 20s, young, going through trauma, them both. Somebody could say, oh my God, that sounds horrible. No, that's awesome. Great that you're together and you can be a team.
Yep. And
work through this together.
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of somebody saying I'm alone and I don't have anybody. So what's the good of it? Like you're together. So if you love each other in your relationship, you can use this to synergize and learn more about each other's issues to be able to, like you said, empower yourself.
So how do you get your innocent enthusiasm back? Is it just through doing and then joy comes back? Yes, it does. So here's the thing. When we come back from a traumatic situation, whether it is a combat veteran or whether it is somebody who has been through abuse, it takes a while to readjust. It does. You want to talk about that? How long does it take to readjust coming back into the civilian world? That takes a long time.
Well, in some of our combat vets, there's been times that I've been home struggling with traumatic issues and they're just starting to settle in because you have that honeymoon phase when you come home. You're like, yeah, I'm home and da-da-da. And then it just starts settling in and guess what? I get orders to go right back over.
Boom.
So there's like our veterans, like, OEF and OIF veterans, they've been on this roller coaster. So when they're back overseas, that trauma doesn't bother them because they're reliving new stuff. They have to put that stuff back because they have to focus on right now of keeping themselves alive or their, battle buddies alive. So And man, it's
complicated.
Yeah, it never goes away.
It never does.
I mean, it gets better. Things get better, but I mean, it's always gonna be there. Like I said in the beginning, I don't let it identify me, but it's always there.
How long did it take for you to get your joy back, though? Once you realized that you had PTSD, how long did it take?
A long time, because so we know fitness is kind of my thing, right?
Right.
And there was times that I hated fitness. I hated it. Yeah, there was times through my recovery of PTSD that I could not stand working out. So, which, that's kind of a passion of mine. So then you feel really disassociated with yourself because you're not who you are, because you're not doing the actions that you normally would do, like when you just don't think about things. So, I mean, like when I saw that stuff, I'm like, there's things that's really, really wrong in my life. So that's when I started asking for help and self-educating off of what my mannerisms are, why I was doing certain things. But it does take a while. I would say, I mean, me coming back, 18 months before I felt like I was like, okay, I'm tackling this.
That's about the right time period. So for me, coming out of abuse with my dad, it took me about 2 years, more or less, to kind of get my sense of humor back, to get my sense of self back, to get my sense of safety back, to get my sense of self-empowerment back. It does take time, guys. It's not like, oh, it's over, it's in the past now, and now I'm like, fine. Which of course in counseling, FINE stands for fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
And there's no magical road that says, oh, you're just going to be fine in 18 months.
No.
If you go down the positive track, you're going to get better in 18 months.
Exactly.
But you could be worse for 25 years because you go down the wrong road.
If you don't work on it, it's not going to get better. Let me just say that again. If you don't work on it, it's not going to get better. So you have to work on it. You have to work on it.
Be responsible and empower yourself.
Exactly. So it takes as long as it takes. Some people recover faster. Some people it takes a little bit more time. But you must be working on yourself. If you are not doing any of the work, if you're not working the self-esteem workbook, if you are not doing the CPTSD workbook, if you are not doing the inner child workbook, if you are not seeing a counselor, if you are not journaling, if you're just sitting around going, magic thinking, gee, magically I'm going to be fine, it ain't going to happen. You got to do the work. You got to do the work. And the biggest mistake that survivors of abuse have is they don't do the work. Their thoughts, their inner child is running the show, and the inner child tells them, we're alone. Oh my God, we're alone. We need to get into another relationship. And bada bing, bada boom. The next thing you know, you're in another abusive relationship. Don't fucking do it. Work on yourself. Is it painful? Yes. Is it worth it? Fuck yeah. So yeah, just fucking do it. That's what Nike's thing should be. Just fucking do it. Okay. I hope that answered the question. So it does take a while to get your enthusiasm back, but it will come back. It will. It absolutely will. And you just keep giving yourself permission. I think that is the biggest thing. So when you are doing the mirror work, along with, hi, have a good day, I give you permission to have fun. I give you permission to go play. You give yourself permission, because a lot of times we got a lot of non-permission. Don't you do this? Don't you do that? Don't you have fun? Don't you, don't. So you've got to give yourself permission. It's okay for me to have fun. It's okay for me to go play.
You deserve it.
And it's okay for me to hang out with my friends. It's okay for me to have friends, because abusers love to isolate and make sure that we don't have friends. So yeah, absolutely. Okay. Imagine being a golden retriever, always happy. Did you see the video? Oh my God. So I posted a thing today about the dog heaven. So it was like golden retrievers in Scotland. And I told John, I turned over and I said, that's my idea of heaven. And that's where I want to go when I die. Because there was like thousands of golden retrievers. Okay. We have a program in our area that uses horses for helping veterans of PTSD.
There's one here too, for the wild horses that people go to.
Yep. So you just look it up. You can look it up on the VA website, or you can go to you just look up services for PTSD for veterans.
Yeah, start Googling it. You're going to find all kinds of modalities of people just like me that have a passion through their own recovery to help other people.
Okay, let's see.
You notice you're only halfway down.
I know. I'm trying to run through them as fast as I can. Holy cow. Okay. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to say while I'm trying to find more questions? Hang on.
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. Hang on a second. Oh my God. So many questions. So much talking. This is awesome. I'm glad you guys are talking back and forth to each other.
Anything positive, big heart. See, that's the thing. It's like you are in control. It is your choice. It's your choice.
It absolutely is your choice. Okay, hang on, dear Lord. Do you have close tribe members outside of family or fellow vets that give you a totally different tribe attachment outside of your background? I am that to a vet friend. We create projects or social involvement outside his norm or career, rarely discuss his PTSD. We simply have each other's backs. That's important in moving forward. It really helps him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's that old saying that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So a lot of us humans, we don't do anything that's abnormal or out of our comfort zone. So sometimes it's really good to do stuff that is out of your comfort zone, like it doesn't associate with your traumatic experiences, because it gets you thinking, acting differently, which teaches you a lot about life and yourself. So like if you don't know how to dance, like learn how to dance, or anything like that, that you start hanging around other people that will give you something. Like some of my friends are from different backgrounds of religions, and I learned about the religions, which is very interesting, and that's how they're wired and how they live their lives and stuff, and different cultures and stuff like that. So it's having different friends from different walks of life is huge.
Hugely important. And I've said this before and I will say it again. I love kids. Love them. Love hanging out with them. Why? Because nobody's fucked them up yet.
Yeah, they live in the present.
They live in the now, you know?
Just like a dog.
Just like a dog.
They say a dog is the equivalent of a 4-year-old.
Yeah,
mentally.
Exactly. And I love having friends of all sorts of different types and sexes and religions and everything else. I do not hang out normally with other counselors. Why? Because we'll just sit there and fucking psychoanalyze each other until we die. So, I mean, I will go do lunches with other counselors, but for the most part I try to go outside of my comfort zone, and I go experience other people and other situations and get into their world, because it expands my world. And it's not just my view. That's the thing. I don't ever want to get so telescoped that I forget that there are other professions and other people and other cultures and other ages and other sexes and other whatever out there. And every single person I meet enriches me, and I enrich them, I hope. So, that's why it's important to, what happens when we have PTSD or CPTSD is we get afraid. And fear causes our world to become exceedingly small. I mean, it goes from like huge to like nothing. And it's hugely important to step outside, to re-engage with nature, with other people, with what's going on, our society, our culture, our things like that, because our fear keeps us from doing that, and we cannot allow the fear to win.
2 things control every decision or emotion that you have as a human, is fear and love. So if you have a state of fear that something's controlling you because of fear, what do you need to do? You need to do something out of love. So something that you really, really love, maybe it would be holding a puppy or a kitten or whatever, like something that is just pure state of love. You need to deassociate yourself with the fear and put love in there. Exactly.
So Nitsi, you have a question about doing a show dealing with school administrations and their flying monkeys. If you could please IM me on We Need to Talk and send me that question, because otherwise I won't find it in this feed, because other people will start commenting, after that, and it'll get lost. So send that question to We Need to Talk. IM me on that one. Okay, I think, oh my God, did we hit all the questions? Yeah. Oh my God, we did. Fantastic. All right, any last thoughts? Anything you want people to know?
Well, just that we're a nonprofit, so we're a 501c3, so it's all those off of donations. We have a GoFundMe page. A lot of people like to donate that aren't local, and you can go.
Can you send me the GoFundMe page?
If you go right to our website, there's a donate button, goes right to the GoFundMe page.
Now, is that the Facebook page?
And the Facebook page. So Facebook and website goes right to GoFundMe. So,
so if you want to help the veterans, fund this. They love it. It is so fun to watch them, and it's so fun to watch the camaraderie, and it's fun to watch the races. The races are just insane. So especially having been on the inside.
Understanding.
And I'm sitting here watching this going, holy shit, I did that. Fuck. So
we're raising money right now for our new veteran. He's a dual amputee from 2003. So he's a great guy, and we're pushing him through the program, and He's growing. We see the growth in him already, and his race will be October 13th. So we're raising money to pay for his funds, for his safety gear and all that stuff. For his experience. So.
Exactly. So please do go support Vetdrenaline. Vetdrenaline is amazing. I've posted several of the Cronkite news blips on it and how the veterans are helped by it. Go to Vetdrenaline on Facebook, and the webpage is just vetdrenaline.com. Yeah. Do support them. Please donate to that. That would be awesome.
And share the mission. If you know veterans or know people with PTSD, just share it.
Yeah,
awareness.
absolutely.
PTSD awareness is huge.
If you are having CPTSD and you are interested in maybe having Jess host something for somebody with emotional abuse, get a hold of him. Yeah. Talk to him. If we get enough people, then we can do it. So there that is. Okay, I think that's it. I can't think of anything. Do you have anything else? I think I'm good.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Thank you. You're awesome. So, okay. So next week, I have absolutely no idea what the hell I'm talking about. So if you have suggestions for the show, please send them in. There was a whole bunch of questions, so I may just do a question and answer period. So again, shameless plug. If you are interested in buying the books, they are available on Amazon.com. This one, nope, other hand. This one is on Audible. So you can get this one on Audible. This one should be on Audible by the end of August, I'm hoping. Jesus Christ, that's taken forever. Hello, Andy. So doing that, I know, is like poke. So do that. Also, I will be in Boise, August 25th. We will have a venue here pretty soon. If you wish to have a free mug, go to Eventbrite. Sign up for the lecture. I will be giving the free mug away at the lecture, not at the book signing, at the lecture. So go to the lecture, sign up for that. I will be in Boise on August 25th. I cannot think of anything else. I think that's it. All right, guys, go have a wonderful day. And thank you for tuning in. And just thank you for being here. I absolutely adore you. Yes.
Empower yourself.
Power to the people. All right, guys, I will talk to you guys later. See ya. Bye.